I was thinking about my dad. He loved to be outside, and we would, I don't know why, but we would go to the store, and that old story of you just went with a couple slices of bread and a pack of bologna, and we would go on a picnic, and my dad would often take us to a cemetery. It didn't have to be the cemetery where we knew anybody, although I've been there as a kid. I was in a cemetery all the time, not necessarily for a funeral, but it was beautiful, shady, quiet, big trees, and we would just sit in the shade, under some big tree near some gravestones and have lunch. That was just the way my dad raised us.
I was just always outside. So we had woods behind our house that my grandparents owned. I was always back there walking around in the creek, or running through the cornfields and making forts in the cornfields.
I think of growing up and all the fun we had playing and being outside. I believe those children miss growing up in nature and knowing nature and how important it was to the families of Appalachia. Right. What it gave us as far as wood and coal, herbs and plants, growing gardens, and all of that. And I don't know if that's happening in our culture today.
Mm-hmm. I remember I would spend a lot of time outside at first. I love to ride my bike, so I would always be around the neighborhood riding until sundown. But it was that time with Alton Coleman. What was her name?
Yeah,
Deborah Brown. It was the kidnappings that were happening so when that happened, I was really stuck in the house. And that's when the reading and the writing really took off, because I needed an outlet because I wasn't going outside anymore.
It's kind of hard to explain, and I don't think I always recognized it, but the importance of nature and like the woods.
Oh, yes.
Right. So I think that story's been lost in Appalachian culture a little bit. Mm-hmm. But we're seeing a resurgence of that. I've joined a couple Appalachian environmental organizations. It was taken from us with the coal mining and the mountaintop removal. I think culturally, because we were living off the land, I think that when I take a walk in the woods, I'm at the happiest I was. And as a child, we're always walking in the woods, looking for mushrooms, looking for ginseng. So I think that feeling that I get about nature and mountains, right? When I drive into Southern Ohio or down in Kentucky, I got to go to Ireland and Scotland. Those mountains, there's a feeling there.
It's a spiritual thing.
It is.
It's very spiritual.
There's a feeling I get when I see those types of mountains, green, that I don't have anywhere else. And I can't explain it. I've been to the Rocky Mountains. They're great, but
it's not the same, is it?
I love to climb trees. I've always loved being outside, and I would go outside and climb trees, and I would collect plants and make pretend salads with them. And I would pretend that I was a dolphin. And I would go into the woods and kind of sneak even past my boundaries a little bit and make trails. And I made a tree house. I love to build tree houses with Brenda and Stephen, your aunt and uncle. And I loved going to the zoo when I was a kid. I did a lot of things out in nature. Creeks, crawdads, that kind of thing.
Mushroom hunting with my grandpa. Yes. I don't even like mushrooms. But it didn't matter. It was about the hunt,
Yes.
And watching my grandma fry them and soak them in salt water and the dandelion greens and that kind of thing.
Yes.
That, feels sort of like home, and
hung out in the woods behind the house. Our neighborhood was over by Mercy Hospital. So there was all those woods back there, and typical kid stuff, kick the can, flashlight tag. And then AIM Instant Messenger came into play and we didn't leave our house.